What's up guys, my name is Luke and welcome back to the channel. I just want to start off by saying thanks for 3,000 subscribers. It's really awesome. I really appreciate all you guys' support. Yeah, I think I didn't actually notice it at first and I think we're at 3.2 now. So yeah, I really appreciate all the support. And I also want to say thanks to all the new Patreon subscribers. It really means a lot that you guys are supporting the channel. And yeah, I hope to keep making some really cool videos for you guys. So today's video, I'm going to show you guys how to create this kind of ripple effect using the new cloth simulation system. So yeah, I'm sure you saw the beginning of the video. That's kind of the effect we're going to create. I'm going to show you two different ways of getting a similar results. It just depends on how much control you want over the ripple. So the one is a easy way that will just automatically do the rippling for you. The other way you have a little bit more control. So yeah, let's get straight into it. So let's start off over here by grabbing a plane. Let's just make this kind of big. So yeah, for my video I made it like 16:9 just so that it matched the aspect ratio of the camera that I was using. So yeah, but you obviously don't need to do that. You can just do it however you want or whatever object you want. The same effect should apply no matter what object or thing you're using, but I'm using a plane over here because it's the same thing that I used in my render. So let's add some segments over here. So maybe 100 and something like that looks good. Actually, let's make this 150 and then maybe 75 over here. Cool, just some even spacing over there. Let's go over here and add a vertex map. In the vertex map over here, make sure that the fields are selected. If you don't see fields come up, just go into the basics over here and then click on use fields. Cool, in the fields, let's grab a torus and we're gonna just animate this torus. So at frame 0, let's set a keyframe over there, and then at frame 60, let's drag this out. Something like that should be fine. Let's just raise this a little bit. You can also animate the thickness if you want, but for now it should be fine. So now it does that. Awesome, so let's just go over here, let's duplicate this 3 times, and then also don't forget to throw them in here. And so let's also go into our keyframes over here and then just separate these. So maybe like one at like 60 and one at 30, one at 60. That should be good. And now if we press play, you don't see them. It's a little bit weird, but it's okay. That's because of the fact that it's all set to normal. So if we change these to max, now when we press play, we'll see all 3 of them. Cool, so we want it to be a little bit smoother. So let's go into here and add a delay. Let's also change this to spring. And so when we press play, then we'll get this like little middle part, which is quite cool. You can obviously change that if you want to, but I think for now this works. Cool. Let's go over here. And now we can add in a cloth simulation. So in the cloth, let's go to mix animations, go to width forces, and drag in our vertex map, set this to 100, go to our surface over here, and drag in the vertex map again, and maybe set this to about 150. So you'll notice that all of these have like drop down arrows. You can just add in the vertex map into each and every one of them if you want to, depending on what things you want to affect with it. So that's really cool. So now if we had to press play, it'll create a simulation, which is really cool. So if you want, in this mix animation over here, we could just turn this off. And now also we can go into our dynamics over here by going Command D and then just setting this to 0. So this is also a pretty cool effect depending on the look that you're going for, but for what I wanted to do, I wanted it to be only affecting where the vertex map is affecting. So just like this, then it disappears afterwards. So yeah, that's pretty much the effect over here. Let me show you guys just how I textured it. It's very similar texturing to the last tutorial, but in case you mixed it, I'll do it again. And also this one has just a thing that's just a slight bit different. So let's go over here. Let's change this to Octane render over here. And this is the texture that I use. It's called the split phase concrete wall. You obviously can use whatever you want, but if you're wanting to follow this tutorial directly, you can use that exact one over there. Okay, let's drag, actually not drag it on there. Let's add a Octane mix material and then a specular material. So the second one, we want to choose the main texture over there, and then for the first one we want to check the specular material. Let's drag this onto our plane over here, and then when we press render over here, you'll notice that it's, oh, actually it is working now. Okay, awesome. The last time I did it, it really did not work. It was kind of annoying. So glad it's working this time. Let's just go over here, bring down the scale a bit. Something like that should be fine. And then up here, instead of the float tag, let's add in a vertex map. And the vertex map we're going to use is the vertex map. Cool. So now you can pretty much see what we're doing. So now if we had to press play, you'll see the textures only affecting it where it's rippling over here. Cool. Let me just change this to path tracing. It's always nice working in path tracing. And I think you'll notice that the square is a little bit off over here. So let's just unlock this and just make it so that they are squares. Something like that. You can obviously spend a little bit more time refining it, but for this tutorial this should be fine over here. Like that. And then now let's go into our specular material over here. Let's go into our medium, add a random walk, and we're going to look for a dirt node and a octane gradient. Very similar to the last one. Just drop that into the albedo. I think the colors I used was something along the lines of like a pink and I think it was orange for my render, but obviously, you know, you're more than welcome to use the colors that you're feeling like. Let's bring this down, maybe to around like there should be fine. And then let's raise this up so that we get the variation over there. I think that looks pretty cool. Cool, so one thing we can do with this one is that we can drag in, you'll notice that in our Octane mix material we have a displacement node over here that we can connect. So if we connect our displacement over here, and also just make sure that our displacement quality is the same quality. So you'll notice over here, I export it at 2K, so we can put it over here to 2K. And now you'll see that it's still, the displacement remains over here, which is really useful. Well, also depending on the look that you're wanting to go for. But yeah, I think you'll notice in the last tutorial, I didn't use the displacement. It kind of messed up the model depending on what you're using. So for this effect over here, the displacement worked pretty well, but sometimes you'll find that it might not work. But yeah, for this one it does, and I thought it looked pretty cool. So another thing we can do to make this a little bit better is that we can go over here and type in extrude, drag in and extrude over here. Let's just go back to frame 0. And we can make this, so use island, use island and create cap so that we close it off over here, and we can set this to about 2. So without it, you're able to use UV mapping, which is really nice, but if you're using the extrude, you might need to re-UV map it, but I'm not going to do that now, so I'm just going to set this to cubic, and it's not showing up for some reason. There we go. So the reason that I would add an extrude over here is just to get a little bit more detail. Now you're seeing that it's coming out of both sides over here, and so when you're lighting this, if you put a light underneath it, you'll get a quite nice effect. So it really depends on the look that you're going for, but for my render I added that extrude over there. Let's just bring this down a bit. Actually, that's perfect over there. Cool. So yeah, now that's pretty much the effect of here, which looks really cool. I think the main thing that you need to do now is just go into do some lighting. So the way that I set up my lighting is I had a, let me just do a basic light setup over here for you guys. So just add a light over here, just make it 90 degrees, drag that like that. Let's get another light like this, and we're gonna set this underneath because it's a specular material. The light will come through. So, and just let's raise up the roughness of the specular material just a bit. Let's add a dark environment over here, and let's take this light, duplicate it, swivel it around. Like that, and let's just make this way softer. So this is pretty much the lighting that I used for my render. Obviously I spent a little bit more time on it, but I'm not going to do that here in this tutorial. I'll leave that to you guys and how you guys want to texture it and light it. So this is the one way of doing this ripple. The other way, let me show you. It's a little bit simpler, but yeah, also a really cool effect. I just prefer the other way just because you have a little bit more control and you're able to use those toruses to kind of control where you're wanting it to go and how fast and how slow you want it to go. So let's go over here, press NB. Let's just add some subdivisions over here. Something like that should be fine. We also just want to throw this in a remesher. And now let's go to Vertex Map. Let's just turn this off for now. And in our Vertex Map over here, let's add in a spherical field. Put that over there. Let's also add a freeze. Change the spherical field blending mode to max. And in the freeze, we're going to set it to grow. So it's very similar to that previous tutorial, and now it'll grow. And now what we're going to do is we're going to add a delay. So it's very, very similar to the previous tutorial. But now the one thing that can make it really cool is if we change the blending mode over here. So if we had to change it to subtract, you'll see we get these kind of ripples, which are really cool. So now if we had to, let's also just make this maybe like 10. And then let's maybe bring down the delay a little bit. Something like that. And so now if we had to go and add a cloth over here, do the same thing, drag this in 100%. And into our target length and set this to 150. Now when we press play, we get these ripples. So yeah, and then exact same way that you would texture it in the previous one is how you would texture it in here. So yeah, I really hope you guys enjoyed this tutorial. If you did, maybe consider giving it a like and a subscribe. And yeah, if you want the project files for this project over here, obviously not the one that I did right now, the proper one from my actual render, or up on my Patreon if you guys are interested in that. But if not, that's completely chilled. And yeah, I hope you have a great day and enjoy the renders. I'll see you guys next week. Cheers.